starting to wonder if and when this wide receiver carousel will ever end in the NFL, or at least the speculation about certain guys leaving. DK Metcalf hasn't left yet, or maybe possibly won't. Other guys have Devontae Adams. Other guys have changed teams, and certain Ravens fans have pushed for every one of those guys to end up in purple. I get it. Kadarius Toney is just the latest one. Unusual circumstances, obviously. Still working on his rookie contract, which is a positive. It would be a positive if a team like the Ravens or someone was able to pick him up, especially the Ravens, being as they're looking at having to pay Lamar Jackson, obviously, after this season or whatever they do, 2 seasons from now, and getting a guy on a rookie deal with 4 years remaining. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad option. He's certainly very talented. What I did today, as soon as I started to read all the things on Twitter and about Kadarius Toney and that him being shopped around. I did post something on my YouTube, basically asking what would you trade for Kadarius Toney if you were the GM, and it was a wide range of responses. It is kind of funny to me that there's a lot of speculation about trading away Devin Duvernay for Kadarius Toney, but yet there were some of us, myself included, who mentioned Devin Duvernay as being part of the deal to possibly acquire DK Metcalf, and were met with some apprehension and some pushback. It's interesting to me that people would be willing to give up Devin Duvernay for a guy like Kadarius Toney, who's got like 39 catches or something like that, maybe even less. I think it's less than that. Maybe it's 29 in 10 games played. But yet, we had a problem with giving up Devin Duvernay as part of a package to acquire DK Metcalf, who's a monster, 29 touchdowns in 3 seasons. So I think it was 340 votes on my poll that I did on my YouTube page. 34% of people said they'd give up a fourth rounder this year. That was my vote. 40% said a third rounder this year. I think that'd be a little too steep. 10% said a fourth rounder next year, and 12% said a fifth rounder next year. I don't think that one would be realistic. I think either of the first three might work. I think the Giants are probably looking for some compensation this year, would be my guess. So what I did was I went back and looked at his most productive game, and honestly, it's pretty impressive. His game against Dallas, 10 catches, 189 yards. I think they lost 44-20 or 44-24. He had an impact against everyone that guarded him, especially when they played man-to-man. Here he's running an out and up along to the field side, the right side. Constant pressure in the quarterback's face, and it just throws this one up. Not a well-thrown ball, but as you'll see from the end zone angle, great catch, obviously, by Kadarius Toney. He's a playmaker. Makes guys miss, catches the ball, makes contested catches. But as you'll see from this angle, a lot of pressure in the quarterback's face. I think this is Glennon, I believe. But there's pressure all in his face, so that kind of explains the poor throw. Maybe the ball should have been thrown a little earlier, but a great catch by Kadarius Toney, and you'll see this multiple times in this clip. I do not intend for this to be a 20-minute video. I'm going to try to move through this quickly. You can see his talent just jumping off the screen. Quick, agile. Twice I have seen, because I watched 3 games today, twice I have seen the ball get on top of him before he's expecting it, kind of like here. It's like he's coming out of his cut and maybe wasn't expecting the ball to be there already. This one, but if we watch the end zone angle, this one you'll kind of see an explanation for it, because he's very smooth. I mean, very smooth catching the football. Here he is in the slot on the right. Quarterback gets rid of the ball quickly, but I think that Kadarius Toney is trying to make his cut out here and have the ball thrown away from this linebacker. Watch where the ball was thrown. It's thrown back here on the inside hip. And I think that's why it kind of looked unusual. But as you can see, still held onto the football and still made the play. To this point in the Cowboys game, it's kind of like, okay, Kadarius Toney is doing some work, and we're getting him the football. The Giants did seem to figure it out, like, hey, he's just hitting home runs no matter who he's going against today, so let's just get him the ball. Here he is on this little over concept, or I guess some people call it an under concept. You got a clear out route from the other side. Makes a nice catch. Away from an inside linebacker, or maybe it's a dropping D end right here. I think this is designed for him to be the primary target, to be honest with you. But you can see the quarterback is kind of flushed out or moving out to his right again, and Kadarius Toney with a nice catch. Great game by him against Dallas, down in Dallas. Here he is down in a bunch formation, and just a little in and out route. Some people call it a China out. Some people call it kind of a whip route. It's not really, whip route, but in any case, or it's not really China out either. Once he catches the football, puts his foot in the ground here, and kind of senses where the opening is, and almost takes this to the house. This one was This one was really eye-opening. Not that I didn't know that the guy had talent. I mean, obviously he did. He's a first-round pick. But when you see this level of explosiveness, granted there's a guy on the low side, a guy on the high side, nobody inside out. So inside out means, someone near the hash, taking care of this inside cut. But in any case, explosiveness, 100 out of 100, if you ask me. High level explosiveness, playmaker. I don't know what the discipline issues are or what other issue. I know, apparently he had COVID twice. Like, I'm not going to fault any person for that. You could get COVID walking down the street. Now, maybe he was doing some irresponsible things. I don't know, and I don't care. Hope he's healthy. Hope he doesn't ever get it again. That's all I'll say about that. But if there's other issues that the Giants have a problem with, I mean, so be it. I think the guy's 23 years old. I might be wrong there. Hopefully he figures whatever the quote issues are. Hopefully he figures them out and makes millions of dollars in an NFL career. Like, why would you not root for a young guy with talent? If you've ever seen the movie A Bronx Tale, there's a great quote in there. The saddest thing in the world is wasted talent. He's not wasted talent yet, but I guess if you were to follow the career projection of being a first-round pick, being traded away a year, some people would say, oh, his career's already going downhill. Come on, he's like 23 years old or however old he is. Educate me on that. He ain't 26, all right? There's kids. I'm 45, so I can call them kids. There's kids out there that are 28, 30, 32 years old that still ain't figured life out yet. And this guy's got a lot of life to live, and hopefully, he makes whatever corrections he needs to make. This is awesome. Trayvon Diggs, of course, got 14 or 15 interceptions his first 2 years in the league. And I think this is designed to be this kind of route here, like a deeper over route with a clear out here by number one on the other side, very similar to the one I showed you, except on the other one, he broke it off on an under route, what I would call an under. I think there's some real high level chess going on here between both of these guys. So I think that Diggs knows right now what kind of route it is. I think for whatever reason he knows it's not going to be a sail or anything like that. I think Diggs knows it's supposed to be something like this. Watch what Diggs does. This is what makes him really dangerous. I know he gives up a lot of catches. He immediately cuts to the underside of it. Immediately, because he perceives that it's supposed to be going here, and he's going to try to undercut and get the pick. He's not just playing the guard guys. Very smart guy, Trayvon Diggs. I believe that Kadarius Toney makes an adjustment here. I believe he recognizes it right now and pulls this thing back to the other side, and the quarterback simultaneous. So to me, it's a one receiver route. If you ask me, they're trying to get the ball here. At this point, they've recognized Kadarius Toney is beating people. Let's get him to football. You guys can let me know what you think if you see that much out of this route, out of this situation. I'm giving credit to both guys. I called it chess, not checkers. I called it chess because Kadarius Toney did something off the line. Diggs recognized it, if you ask me, and tried to checkmate it, and then boom, Kadarius Toney brought it back over here. That, to me, shows intelligence, mid-play adjustments, and then the burst. I think he's a really, really talented player. And look, I think every professional athlete is talented as shit, all right? I'm not one of those dudes who says anyone's trash. That's not how it works. Trayvon Diggs and this other DB are late to line up here. But having said that, like, every guy's talented. Not every guy has the acceleration, the burst, and some of the moves that this guy does. But this guy, he doesn't have moves that are. I mean, he has jukes. Don't get me wrong, but he's not wasting movement. His moves are to get you downhill, to get himself downhill. Excuse me. This is the old Patriots play. Against man free, you got the free safety in the middle of the field. So you got number 1 and number 3 both running like stop routes. Sometimes number 3 will run across the middle of the field. And all they're doing is trying to make it an absolute one-on-one between the slot receiver and the slot corner. And they do, and Kadarius Toney makes a great catch. I only have 9 plays. This is only from the Cowboys game. There's 6 games where he was inactive, I believe. As I talked about earlier, at least 2 of them I think was because of COVID. I don't blame any human being for that. Nothing negative to say, nothing negative in my mind about that. If there's other stuff that was going on I don't know about, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't read a single article. Actually, I started to read an article, and it started to talk about negative behaviors. I didn't even, I stopped reading because I don't care. I don't care. As long as he's not out there hurting people. I just want to see the Ravens get as much talent in the building as they can. And if they could get a guy like this for a 4th or a 5th round pick, and that's it. Get that kind of value in the building and create some competitiveness, I will be all for it. For the Giants, we all know that their offense really struggled last year. The whole team struggled. You have a scramble situation here. His initial route stem's going to take him into the middle of the field. Quarterback's going to end up getting flushed out here to the left. And what happens is Toney's here. He knows he's not open. Scramble drill is normally like you got to do the opposite of whatever you did is. So if there was more space here, and this guy, if you're considering this a short route, he might take this long. But if it's a longer route in his mind, then he's going to bring it back. Kadarius Toney is in the middle of the field. He's going to bring it here. Now I think he could be kind of like this to the back corner, but I think he's got a high level of awareness. As he's bringing this thing back, in my opinion, you want to take this to the corner, but he knows he can't because his teammate's running deeper than him. And I think he recognizes that mid-play. Now, I tend to give receivers, that kind of credit, and sometimes maybe I'm overstating what they're aware of. But these guys have done these scramble drills thousands of times. Sometimes with no ball thrown, sometimes just on air, no defenders, just so it's ingrained into their minds. This guy's short. He looks like he starts to block. He thinks the quarterback's going to scramble. So if they're not here, and I think that's Leighton Vander Esch defending, then yeah, this ball is right there to throw to Kadarius Toney. In my mind, in a perfect world, Kadarius Toney would take this to the back pylon and give the quarterback the ability to throw it moving to his left as a right-handed quarterback, which is more difficult. But, to each his own. Very next play, I'm going to skip past the very next play. At this point, like I said, they've recognized that Kadarius Toney is dangerous and giving the Cowboys problems. They put him at quarterback. I think he had 3 passes last year, to be honest with you. Maybe I'm thinking of another player, but I don't have that on film. But in any case, they put him at quarterback, and they run QB counter, what a lot of people call bash. And he even gives a little bit of a ride here. So he even gives a ride to sell these inside linebackers. And that's another level that a lot of guys wouldn't do. They would rush. Hell, he damn near might be reading this. I mean, if he's reading it, he's either reading this inside backer or he's reading this D end. From what I know, he should be reading this D end. Because if this D end runs upfield, then obviously you can't give the football to this running back. But if this D end was to chase that pulling tackle, then you just give the ball to the running back, and he's got the edge. That's the beauty of QB counter read or bash. He might be reading it. But in any case, there's a little bit of a mesh here, and then he gets that left foot in the ground, and watch this. He goes. There's a burst to Kadarius Toney. I like him. I think he's a real talented player. There's a blocking scheme, a back block by the center, a gap scheme, which is just still hilarious to me that so many people say zone offensive linemen can't adjust. Zone offensive centers can't adjust to a gap scheme. Hell, you're just blocking back half the time when a pulling guard or pulling tackles, pulling opposite of you. A double team on the 3 technique here, and you can see these 2 linemen get out in front. The left guard and left tackle. They get out in front. He almost takes this to the house. Actually, his knee doesn't go down until later than it appears. He's still up, guys. Maybe his left knee went down a little early. Hey, I really like the player, the athlete that's there. The very next play, by the way, they tried to go to him. He slips and falls down. I don't even remember if New York scored on this possession, to be honest with you. I'm just showing to you that they obviously trusted him. And the Giants coaches obviously recognized that he was rolling that day because they kept feeding him now. Here he is on a little under, and you get this little fade go by the number 2 where he's designed to basically screen this corner. I shouldn't say screen. He's designed to make this corner have to decide. If he's off, he's got to go over the top of it. What's the easy completion now to Kadarius Toney on this under? It's a cool concept. When you got an off corner and someone playing man on the slot number 2, it's very easy. You can see the burst. He gave Trayvon Diggs problems. I know Trayvon Diggs gave up a lot of receptions during the year. A lot of yards during the year. But Trayvon Diggs is dangerous to deal with. Throwing the ball at him is not always a good idea. All right, last play. And this is the unfortunate thing. And I guess this is the paradox that is Kadarius Toney at this point in time. Is a great game. 10 catches, 189 yards. And he gets ejected after this. I don't have it on film. To be honest with you, I didn't go read any articles about what happened. I can kind of perceive what happened. It's a curl flat play or, curl shoot play, whatever you want to call it. Easy catch against man-to-man. Again, Trayvon Diggs way off. Now, I think this is late in the game, and maybe the score is a pretty, big score differential. Big scrum here. A lot of guys trying to get the football out of him. And at the end of it, they slam him down. And then his teammate and a couple of guys all push and shove. To my knowledge, whatever happens after this, Kadarius Toney got ejected. But I don't think that guy or that guy did. Kind of reminds me of the Tavon Young situation against the Colts this year, where the tight end, who's dirty as shit. He's a good player. I like him, but he's dirty. Pushes Tavon Young in the face mask after the play. Pushes him down on the side of his helmet, maybe. And then Tavon Young pushes him back and gets ejected. If you know what Kadarius Toney did after this, let me know. I really don't care, so I didn't look it up. Talented player. Would I like to see the Ravens give up a productive player like Devin Duvernay to acquire him? No. Because Devin Duvernay is reliable. Devin Duvernay is going to be at every game. And so far, and this is unfortunate to say, and I'm not bad-mouthing Kadarius Toney, he has not been reliable. I think he only played in 10 games last year. I'm not exactly sure what the reason was for him missing some of the games that he did. Talented player. Man, a lot of maneuverability. Makes people miss, just from the little bit of film that I watched 3 games, but I really only watched this one and then a half of the Tampa Bay game where he played well. Inactive 6 of the last 8 games, something like that, to finish the season. Really, after this game, touches went down, and like I said, inactive. So really interesting that they're basically cutting their ties with a guy like this after 1 year. But you need talent in the NFL to win. Period. You need talent. And if the guy comes in and, I don't think he does act a fool because I don't know anything about him, but if he does come in and act a fool, well, then you just get rid of him. Period. Get rid of him. And if you've only given away a 4th or a 5th round pick, at that point, it's okay to get rid of him. That's why you don't give up a productive, reliable, explosive player like Devin Duvernay to acquire someone who you may cut 6, 8, 10 weeks from now if he's not reliable. I understand he hasn't, showed up to off-season voluntary camps yet. It would be interesting if he was able to make contact with a potential suitor in terms of trades and let them know whether he would or would not be attending the voluntary, the quote voluntary sessions. You guys let me know what you think. Am I saying that they have to go get this guy to be a good team? No. I'm saying it doesn't hurt to have as much talent in the building as possible and maybe some talent with something to prove. Let me know what you guys think of the video, my film study, my pseudo film study here, and the Ravens possibly acquiring Kadarius Toney.